it might be over for Kevin Durant. And I'm not saying that for the clicks, the views, or etc. I'm being honest with you. Now, why do I say that? Right now, the Houston Rockets this season is 41-27. That's their standings. They're fifth in the West. In a very competitive Western Conference, that's really not that bad at all. The problem is when you put it into perspective, last season, they ended up being the second best Western Conference team. They had won 50 something games. I think it was 53. Obviously, in the playoffs, very different atmosphere. So the regular season standings isn't the end all be on because, like I said, in the playoffs, you need a different type of offense and you need more half court offense, which they didn't have that much last season. So what do? They ended up trading Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and they went out to get Kevin Durant, one of the best half court players you can possibly get, especially when it comes to isolation. So they went out, got him, and that should have been the answer, but it was not. Just a couple nights ago, we saw the Kevin Durant Rockets go up against the Lakers. And when Reed Shepard and Amen Thompson were there, or even when they were there on the court, the offense was horrible. They were sending doubles to KD towards the end of the game, and they just were unable to read him. KD had an insane amount of turnovers, and it's not just about that. It's the fact that their team was unable to adapt to situations that I'm not going to say are easy to read, but for a team that should be a playoff contender or a championship contender, they should have been adapted to this since the first quarter. At some point throughout the game, at least in the middle of the game, the coach has to tell you, hey, when you see a double coming, throw it this way. Or they would have to pick up the ball, take a look at who to pass it to. That is not something you want to deal with this late into the season. They were visibly frustrated out there. And like I said, this team should have been like, this was, in my opinion, one of my favorite teams that I've seen Kevin Durant on. They got Amen Thompson, they got Alperen Sengun, and in theory, this would have been the only other team that I can see really rival against Oklahoma City Thunder. But of course, they haven't. And I'm not even going to go into the on-off numbers because if you take out Amen Thompson and Reed Shepard out the court, you look at their offensive rating, it looks really bad, historically bad. But that's not my point. The whole reason as to why I make this video is because there's nothing that the Houston Rockets team can do to make this a championship contending team. Unless Fred VanVleet comes back, Steven Adams comes back, they're all healthy for the whole playoffs, which is going to be next season because this season's already out the books. If they're all healthy, and they're playing amazing, and Amen Thompson takes the leap that everybody was hoping he would take, and Alperen Sengun takes the leap that he should have taken this year, that would be the year that they win it all. But they're not, and that's not going to happen. The Western Conference is way too competitive, and the Houston Rockets need to win right now. And you know what's the problem with that? Oklahoma City Thunder is winning right now. The San Antonio Spurs are winning right now. And I don't see this team becoming any better. Unless they make a big move, but that's probably going to hinder out their depth, like I just don't see it happening. And that's why I made this video. Because that means that we're not going to see Kevin Durant play for a competitive team anymore. And we're never going to see him compete for a championship again. Because just this offseason, he went for a 2-year, $90 million extension, which was all the way to the 27-28 season. And that means that by that point, he's going to be pushing 40. And if he's pushing 40, the only team that I would see this guy play for, outside of that, mind you, outside of that, would have had to be the Seattle Supersonics. And I know it sounds crazy because it's not even a team that we have right now, but I mean that sincerely. Like, if we're not having an expansion team, I don't see a team that would pick him up unless he's going for like a little bit of money and someone has cap space. Because if you're a team trying to contend, I don't see how a almost 40-year-old Kevin Durant is going to do you any good. And like I said, some teams can pick him up, but contending for a real championship, I just don't see it happening. And frankly, I hope I'm wrong. Like, I really hope I'm wrong. I want to see Kevin Durant go to that peak of his 2 finals MVP year runs where he was winning it all. He felt like he was on top of the world. He felt like he had at least someone proving himself. And I kind of wanted to see it happen again with the Rockets. A team where he can just be himself. He doesn't have to go up the court with the ball. He doesn't have to create for others. He can just create for himself, play the isolation role, do the catch and shoot, because that's frankly what he does best. And this would have been the team that it would have happened on, and yet it did not. Reed Shepard and Amen Thompson are not going to take the leap that we're going to hope, or at least that would be necessary to compete for a championship. Jabari Smith Jr. is not becoming the player that everybody was hoping for. And with a big contract, unless you trade him away, I don't really see how you make this team any better. And Tari Eason, I think I seen a stat where he went, I think it was in the last 24 21 threes, he missed every single one of them. 0-24. And I think the last time he made a 3, he had went 1 for 5 in that game. Like, that is bad. That's less spacing for a team who already doesn't have great 3-point shooters outside of KD. And it sucks to say that. Because now you look at the league and the people that you and I grew up watching, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, they're not competing for championships anymore. And at this point, the only thing they're going to be winning is all NBA teams and just some NBA awards here and there. Obviously, the All-Star teams, all NBA. That's really about it, because Steph Curry doesn't have the team to compete. Kevin Durant doesn't have the team to compete. LeBron does not have the team to compete. It's unfortunate. And outside of the players portion of things, I really do want to make a point. Ime Udoka is not the coach I thought he was. After he won that coach of the year with the Boston Celtics, and unfortunately ended up breaking apart, I really thought he was going to be I believe that he was an amazing pickup for the Houston Rockets. And last year, it showed. This guy pushed this team to the second best team in the West, only behind the historic 68-14 Oklahoma City Thunder team, who ultimately ended up winning the championship. That was the only team that they were behind, and that is impressive. Yet this season, with a better squad, somehow it feels like his coaching ability has dropped off the face of the earth, because it is insane the fact that you have so many issues going on. And I'm not saying that they're easy fixes, but if we're this late into the season, like I said before, where defensively you're just not there, they keep pointing fingers at each other, they're not being able to figure out what's going to happen on defense, and offensively they cannot read the double team in time, passes. And I'm not gonna double down on it, because I feel like I'm gonna be beating a dead horse that every other YouTuber has been done. But those passes they were making were so outrageously bad that I watched that in disbelief. Even after I watched the game, I went on YouTube and saw people talk about how bad it was. And I had to rewatch it to think, wow, I saw the same thing these people saw. This needs to be changed. This needs to be... I feel like Ime Udoka is going to get fired after the season, because that cannot happen this late into the season. But that's it. I'm not going to touch it anymore. I talked too much about it. I appreciate you guys watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below what you think is going to be the ceiling for this Houston Rockets team. Is it a second round exit? Is it the first round exit? You let me know what you think is going to happen. And if you think KD is actually going to win the championship before he retires. But since you're here with me, I know you like talking about basketball. And I would love if you hit that subscribe button, because it's going to benefit both of us. I get to talk more about basketball. You get to watch more basketball content. That sounds pretty fair, right? And before I go, there's another team that's the opposite. They had no expectations, very low expectations, and yet they are killing it in the East. Who's that team? You're going to have to go check it out. Check out the last video I posted. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.